Josiah, otherwise known as the Roguescaper, and we're here with yet another awesome content creator. We have Derek, or known as the forums as Vecna, here with me today, and I think we're just going to have a great discussion. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Oh, avoided the crazy storms. Got the day off work today, so I cannot complain for sure. So you've been doing your channel for a bit now, and just tell us about kind of what you do and the process behind it all.
My YouTube first started as just, moments I found funny in video games or just life in general. So I would just upload small clips of that. And then it became whenever I would find something in a video game I was stuck on, I would have to skip through like a 10-minute introduction for a channel, and I just want what I was looking for. So I was like, all right, I'll do trophy videos where it's just like, here's how to get this and let's go. And then last year when they announced HeroScape was coming back with Avalon Hill, I was like, I really want to promote HeroScape somehow. And the interest in that kind of tanked until about June of this year when Renegade was like, all right, or June of last year. Oh man, I said last year and it was 2022 when Avalon Hill did it. Ew. Anyway, but June of 2023 came around and Renegade announced they were coming back. So I was like, all right, I got to get back into making HeroScape videos. And I found something I enjoyed to do, which was just casually play solitaire battles of common units versus each other. And so my YouTube channel has kind of now been game instruction, trophy tips, funny moments in life, and memories to me, and then just HeroScape stuff.
You do cover a wide variety, a lot of games, a lot of escape stuff, as you mentioned. I've talked to you before. You've said that HeroScape is definitely one of your favorite games. Do you have some other games that you recommend or enjoy playing as well?
Yes, aside from HeroScape, I love the legendary A Marvel deck building game. The expansions in that are great. I like DC deck building game. Matt Hyra, who's on Renegade, helped design that one. The board game from 1982, which Avalon Hill did, called Titan, which that's one I recommend. There's plenty of great games. I could just sit here and look around my room and be like, oh yeah, and Unmatched. Got to mention Unmatched. That's another favorite.
Yeah, I saw you made a video about Unmatched. I've actually never tried it, but I do like it's got kind of definitely like a HeroScape kind of feel to it.
Yes, one of the designers of HeroScape helped design it. I forget which one. I think his name is Dan. But yeah, uh, it was Chris Chung on the Renegade was like, oh yeah, Unmatched. We know that this guy helped design it, and he was part of the HeroScape team. So
So this can carry over. Yeah, I
yeah.
like the models for sure. I've been wanting to paint a couple. You also
Oh,
paint too, don't you?
yes, games I like, and one of my major hobbies is painting Marvel Crisis Protocol. I forgot to mention that. So yes, Marvel Crisis Protocol. That's pretty much the only thing I paint.
So what kind of got you into playing all these games? This kind of this fascination with tabletops and board games.
Well, growing up, my brother, he had Hero Quest and Battle Masters, and I obviously was not allowed to touch them. I could look at them from across the room while he played with his friends with them. So the desire to be part of my brother's world and play games with him, but also a major love of these games and stuff comes with, my dad called it hot seat action, where Sunday afternoons we would just play games like Heroes of Might and Magic, Hammer of the Gods. We would take turns on Civilization, and my dad would always make these posters that he would print out, and he would first man, only man, and we would play games to see who could beat computer in campaign first, and if you won, you'd put your name, the date, and like just a movie quote or something, and that has carried over the mixture of my brother's interest in the cooler toys than I had, and my dad's interest in strategy and just really interesting stories and games have kind of melded to now I play a lot of board and video games because of them. And now my brother actually plays games with me when we get the chance. So
It's gone full circle, which is nice.
yes.
So I've been looking through your channel, just kind of I like to investigate everyone I'm studying, and I see that you mentioned that before that the Common Clash videos. I think those are really interesting, just because one, you're playing the game by yourself, and two,
Hmm.
you're kind of it's just common units on common units, like two armies. I think that's really interesting. Do you want to talk more about that?
I happen to, when I'm on the Discords and stuff, I see like a new unit will be previewed, and within minutes it'll be like, oh, it works with this unit, works with this unit, this army, this, and I'm just like, I don't have that. So I was like, if I start to play with these units and just, winner takes on a new challenger, etc., I'll learn them a lot better, and I'll start to formulate these connections in my mind. So Common Clash just kind of evolved from the thought of there's not enough HeroScape gameplay, and I want to better myself at the game. And as you can see, if you watch the videos, I make a lot of mistakes now and then, but that's part of the learning process to me. Is at first I was like, man, I'm going to get comments on how bad I am and blah, blah, blah. But the comments have been helpful. And then it just gave me an excuse to go back and make more videos, because it's like, oh, I did that ability wrong. Well, here's a whole nother video for you. And I keep the mistakes, and I let others watch the battle too, because a lot of people say it's still just entertaining to see the game they grew up with being played and people sharing it and loving it and stuff. So, yeah.
I mean, any video where you just hear the clack of dice and the pieces on the tiles, I mean, that's a good video right there. So it seems like the road to get HeroScape has been a journey in of itself. You mentioned that you kind of started kind of regaining interest with the announcement. Were you still playing like HeroScape beforehand, or is it kind of like the revival kind of renewed your interest in it?
The revival renewed my interest. Around the time Dungeons and Dragons took over HeroScape, I was done with it. I was so mad that it went to one franchise and dropped the science fiction and historical aspect in favor of a intellectual property fantasy world. And I just felt like, well, HeroScape's kind of lost its identity. So due to some life situations as well at the time, I was unfortunately forced to sell my collection, and I had none of it. And when Avalon Hill showed their Gen Con display of the units, I was like, I have not thought about this game for over a decade, and I remember how much I loved it. So I went to my wife and I was like, all right, there's about to be something very expensive coming to the house, as long as you're okay with it. And I was like, this game is coming back. I told her the whole story behind it, and she goes, yeah, I think you need to get it again. So it was just a gap from the announcement of the Dungeons and Dragons takeover to the HasLab campaign, where I had not had any HeroScape, and now I'm back. So
Now it takes over the shelves. I tell you, that's the HeroScape is just a enemy of storage for sure. Well, that's really exciting to kind of come back into it, kind of because I see you interact in the forums, and it seems like you've been playing forever. But so it's kind of nice to see kind of like not maybe a new perspective, but kind of like, oh, because I've been lugging around my stuff since I was 9, from 15 different houses I moved to. I always kept my escape, and I always played at least once or twice a year, but kind of someone jumping right into it. That's a really fascinating perspective. What was it like getting all the pieces again? What was the experience like?
that was a challenge. It was a test of my patience, because I am very impatient. So waiting for that deal that is going to save money or just be the right choice was like, oh, but if I pay the $900, I can have an Achilles Alliance right now. So the experience was a roller coaster of up and downs of making choices and stuff. And I know that there's 3D print options or proxy miniature options and stuff, but I have this inherent need to collect, and it has to be official to me. So that was also another hurdle to overcome. Was, does it really matter if it's a 3D printed Wosaga versus having an actual one? And then my inner Smeagol and Gollum kicked in, where I was like, yes. So, yeah. So yeah, it's been a fun experience though, because it's been satisfying to drip feed each time I would get a shipment. My wife is now plays with me, and she's like, okay, this game's pretty good after her first time. And then my group of buddies, despite what Common Clash may show, I do have a group of friends that play HeroScape with me all the time, and they absolutely love it. So the cost to enjoyment ratio, as my dad would always say, came into play a lot. Is it might have been, it might have stung a few times to buy some of this HeroScape, but now I'm sharing it with my family and friends, and they don't have to spend the money on it because they just need to come over and play it. So that has erased any of the personal doubt I had on, is this a good choice or not?
It is. I always say plastics forever, so
Yeah.
you never goes bad. But yeah, it's I don't even want to think about how much I've spent. I think I was playing and collecting when the game was out, so I had a good head start. But I just finished my D&D side just because the completionist and for videos I was making, I wanted at least want to for references one of every official one. But that journey I just got in the mail the other day through some trades, new in box Templar cavalry. So I was able to open that, and that's just such a kind of a feeling of emotion, when you open that plastic package and kind of bring it out and all that stuff. um, what do you like, the new escape's coming out, we're talking about opening boxes. Like, what do you like looking for when you get that big box on your table, cracking open? What's like the first thing you're gonna do?
Okay, this is going to be weird, but if you've opened brand new HeroScape, you know it. The smell of the plastic tiles. It's just, that'll be a rush of nostalgia and memory for me. And then the actual first thing I'm going to do, just slap together some tiles, grab a handful of the army cards, shuffle them up and deal them out, and just play with the figures. Just immediately start diving in and getting a game going within minutes if I can of getting the box in the mail.
I think it's going to be a bit of an emotional experience for me. Just this game is for a lot of people. I think it's really tied to a certain part, a very poignant part of a lot of people's lives. So I'm just going to be like, oh wow, that's that scene from Ratatouille where he has that bite and Antoine is thrown back. It's what it feels.
And being part of the Discord and the community more, I've seen a lot of stories about, like what you said, like what HeroScape means to a lot of people, like Tales of Valhalla's last, well, not last podcast now, but one of their podcasts about the guy who wrote the book in the HeroScape world for his school project. And it's like seeing his story, and it's like, man, I know people would look at this and say, like, it is just a game, but most often, even though it is just a game, when HeroScape came out, there's a lot of important moments in people's lives, be they good or bad, that are just tied to the existence of this game. So it means going back to, it fits the tagline of the battle of all time. As cheesy as it sounds, it means going back to those good memories of the people you love around the table with you. And it's like you said, when you open this new one, you're gonna look back at the past and the times you had with family and friends, and then you're gonna see the possible future of family, your kids, etc. And it's HeroScape's something else in its uniqueness. So
It is. I think that's the coolest part about the game is that it just inspires so much imagination, you
yes,
know. And I'm on the painting corner, and I was like, oh, this is a great way to expand your imagination. But I'm glad there's the prepaid option for those that don't want to do that. Um, yeah, it's just it's crazy. It's coming back, over a decade.
yeah, that's. I still slightly don't believe it until I get that wellspring water tile in my hand. Like I always tease Lee on the Discord, like, yeah, it's fake until you show it. And it's just like, please show us something real.
Yeah, I want to see the Wellspring water for sure. We haven't seen it on a map as of time of this recording, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that pearlescent hue, hue
Yeah,
glowing for sure.
yeah,
I think it's going to be really fun. Despite all the drama, all the naysaying, it's coming back, and the figures look great. I think they're doing a lot of things right.
yeah.
I'm maybe the minority, but I'm just happy that it's here.
I'm in the minority with you there, so that's all right.
Since HeroScape's been announced, a lot of content creators kind of pop out of the woodwork. A lot of people, they're like, I would love to talk about this a lot, but it's tough talking about a game that's been out of print for 12 plus years, you know. You run out of things to talk about. But I think just with your channel, some other ones I plan on talking to. What do you think is the hardest part about making content?
It is balancing the fact where it stops becoming fun and starts to become a chore. I'm not at that point yet with HeroScape because it's really easy to like HeroScape, but it's when you're making content, it's you should remember that it's not only just for people to be entertained, but it should be self-entertainment. You should make the content because it's something you genuinely want to do, not just because you feel like you wake up and you have to.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I should probably take that. I've been working on some videos here, and I'm just like, oh man, this is brutal. This is a lot of work. But I do enjoy. I'm too much of a perfectionist for my own good, so I can make it done a lot faster if I just cared a lot less.
Like me, where I'm just holding my phone, and sometimes in my videos, I'm just like taping a hex while I'm counting movement, and be like, "Oh, oops, I should probably show people what I'm doing." That's the kind of quality I care for.
I really admire it because I went to film school and I have lights and cameras and all that stuff, but I always point to your channels like you don't need much in terms of production. You just need a love for what you're doing and some kind of video recording device, and you can get the job done. Like if anyone wants to make content, you get yourself a phone and you can start doing it and figure out the rest after that. Do you have any kind of inspirations or influences kind of like that affects what you do or anyone you're trying to kind of emulate?
Well, the reason I have one of my friends, he asked me like, why don't you get a camera and do kind of an angled top down and stuff, and it's actually because the reason I started watching and being inspired to make HeroScape videos was Sir HeroScape's older videos where he's, sitting across the table from his opponent, playing the game, showing the dice. And I really liked that first person perspective of the game. So that's my inspiration for the way I do the videos from that perspective.
Do you have any other kind of new ideas for videos you plan on making? Anything kind of in the works?
Oh, eventually Common Clash will spin off into just maybe people selecting armies for me and an opponent, or maybe we'll do Wave Wars where it's a master set versus Wave 1 or 2. Yeah, I have a few ideas, so I got some places that I may eventually want to go with it.
Definitely excited to see those. I also like your kind of rule breakdown videos you do. Just where you go talk about treasure glyphs and ladder rules. Because I think there's a really good spot for that too. Just HeroScape's not a hard game, but it's a game where reading, understanding the rules definitely
Yeah.
makes things work better.
Yeah, those I do because I myself am a visual learner. I have to see it in action to really retain it. Whenever we get a new board game, it's always let's go see if there's a watch it played video, or a dice tower or something where it just tells us how to play the game rather than have four people while a rule book is getting read for an hour. And like the Common Clash videos, actually doing the rules and stuff will hopefully help me retain it. And I mean, like, I know I have the basic game, the master game, Rise of the Valkyrie, master game, Swarm of the Morrow, Battle for the Underdark, or whatever. And it's because I never know when someone, maybe their first set will be Battle for the Underdark. So they'll go to that video. And even though it's kind of identical to the other how to plays, that's their jumping off point. So that I go step by step through each rule as if it is the first video someone is watching for those rules.
No, yeah, I think that's really helpful. I'm actually glad you did it because it was like on my idea board of doing those, and I was like, now I don't have to.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll keep it in my little corner where I can just, do my own thing here. The less
Yeah.
I have to be 100% actual right about things is the better. The best
Yeah.
where I can make up the rules, that's where I'm at. And I've been asking every person I've been interviewing this. Escape's coming back. It's in production now. So
Mhm.
anything's on the table to be made. So I've been asking people this. If you could pitch me kind of a general concept or design for a unit, what would you like to see in the game?
Well, we'll go back to the Dawn Raider Syndicate concept art that they shared on day one of the Avalon Hill campaign. I call it Cthulhu Daddy because it reminds me of Eldritch Horror and a Big Daddy from Bioshock. And I was looking at it and I was like, okay, the goblin with the minigun on the saddle plus the armored kind of sea creature beast. I was like, I'd like it to have something like Slither or, like the swamp water movement that the Drudge have. I'd like them to be able to pop up on different water spots and also maybe get a rapid fire attack like I think it's Deathwalker 8,000? I think, yeah, 8,000 has the machine gun. But I'd like a mixture of that because it seems like with Iwashia being shown and Wellspring Water and stuff, Renegade, I could be wrong. It feels like they have a focus on the lesser used aspects of Heroescape, like make water something that's not just off to the edges of a map or, like one or two tiles here and there. So I'd like a unit to utilize those features that they're trying to put at the forefront.
I think I think Eldritch Horror just in general is a untouched concept in Heroescape. I would love to see some more Cthulhu like things and some Shoggoths and whatever else what else kind of distinct but similar things they can think of, yeah, I think there's not a lot of that in the game and there's definitely space for it.
Yeah, yes, there is. There's still all kinds of themes. And I know the customs community has delved into the themes that are not officially in the game yet, but there's post-apocalyptic and cosmic horror and gothic horror, and but not to just stick with horror, but there's still so many themes that they could just dive into.
Yeah, and that's not even like dive into the real life historical stuff too. It's been kind of
bring that back.
Absolutely. No, I'm on the historical train as well. Like I love it. I get why it's not in the game. It's a bit more tact nowadays to have, but man, I would love I have a whole list.
And I've told you this before, but it was like the show Deadliest Warrior that used to be on Spike TV or whatever, and it was like a ninja versus a samurai or whatever. I was like, this is Heroescape. You're taking these historical warriors and fighting. And one of them that always stuck with me that I would like to see would be the Rajput from India because they had the whip sword and everything. I was like, it's fascinating that someone actually used a weapon like that seems so weird and unwieldy, but they used it to good effect, I guess.
You heard us here, Renegade. We want some whip swords. We want some camels. We want a giant Cthulhu thing with a minigun and a goblin on top. We want it all.
Yes, yeah.
That's Heroescape is definitely a game where you can be like, yeah, I want an Eldritch Horror and just some dude with a sword. Like
the historical. Not to beat a dead horse here, but it matters a lot to me because that was my dad's favorite aspect of the game. Is whenever we'd play any game, his number one rule is always take the humans because in the game, whatever game you're playing, the humans are always cheap. And you can churn them out, and there's plenty of them. And my dad's always like, when we played Heroescape, he's like, yeah, give me the ones based on Earth, the historical units. I don't need some big flashy monster. And he would often thrash me. So.
The fourth mast with just a bunch of dudes with muskets can take on dragons. Any final thoughts? Any kind of hot takes? Anything you'd like to? This is your moment to say whatever you like.
Hot takes? No, not so much anymore. Yeah, that I've been thinking about it. I'm just really excited Heroescape's coming back, and I'm glad that spending time on the Discord and making my videos has let me meet people like you. And I know Tales about how it called me out on one of theirs as like a user to go subscribe to, and then Dadscapers subscribed to me during that live thing. And it's like, man, I guess you don't really understand a community until you're literally part of it and making stuff with these people and stuff. So it has been good to make these videos and meet new people who share interests and passion like I do for Heroescape, albeit we do it in different ways. It is still a central theme of something we all love. So I've said it a couple of times now. It's been great talking to you and other people like you in this community. So thanks for having me be part of it and taking time to talk to me about my hobbies and interests, because I love sharing stuff with people.